at this very moment. We are very, very lucky because Season of Concern, an organization that is near and dear to my heart. It is Chicago's nonprofit dedicated to providing financial assistance to all Chicagoland theater practitioners impacted by illness, injury, and circumstance. And as we roll into the holidays and set to commemorate, we're commemorating World AIDS Day, even if the White House isn't. That's tomorrow. They are offering up several special events during this holiday season. And joining us now is Managing Director of Season of Concern, Chris Pazdernik. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks for coming back.
Always good to have you.
Always good to see you. Hey, just for folks who might not be as familiar, can you tell a little bit about the history of Season of Concern?
Certainly. So Season of Concern was started in the late 80s as a response to the AIDS crisis that was impacting so many of our theater workers. In fact, it was the name comes from the fact that all the theaters banded together in 1986 to help fundraise for folks afflicted with AIDS or AIDS-related illnesses for a season of change. As we know from history, it took a little bit longer than that, but that's where the name comes from. And over time, as new medications sort of changed the face of AIDS, the mission of the organization expanded to cover any kind of illness or injury or other circumstance that puts folks, at risk.
Yeah, and that is one of the best things about Chicago, our true sense of community, of going out and helping our folks and also appreciating the value of theater folks to this city. You might, if you do go to a theater event, you might be, especially during the holidays, you might see folks out there from the cast out there with a bucket. So can you tell a little bit about the theater fundraisers that happens annually?
Sure, yeah. So very similar to Broadway Cares that collects, at Broadway shows or national tours, Season of Concern does the same thing, partnering with Chicago theater companies. So the bulk of the financial assistance that we're able to give comes from these audience collections after a show. So right now, if you check out Christmas Carol at the Goodman or Amadeus at Steppenwolf, just two examples, they'll be collecting after the show, and that money goes directly to us being able to grant financial assistance to folks who need it.
Christopher, do you find it challenging that we are in so many years from when Seasons of Concern, started, when we were in of course, the horrible crisis of AIDS? And is there pushback today of people saying, hey, do I really need to contribute to this? I mean, isn't this under control? Is that an issue you have to deal with on a regular basis, or are people more understanding of where we're at and that we still need the help?
Yeah, I think it's at this point it's a more of a misconception than pushback. It's just getting people to know that yes, because the face of AIDS has changed, the organization has evolved along with it. Because let's be honest, there's never a good time to be a starving artist, right? It's a very precarious. It's a very precarious position to be in. I was actually just reading, University of Chicago actually did a study about artists' lives and their livelihood, and they said 57% of artists reported being somewhat or very worried about being able to afford food, housing, medical care, or utilities. And so when you're living on such a, slim margin, all it takes is one emergency, right? One trip to the hospital, one car accident or whatever to really push you over the brink. And that's, the gap that Season of Concern seeks to fill, because it could be anything, right? Not just AIDS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
no, for sure.
Yeah, and that is one of the things that I'm so proud of Season of Concern, again, for evolving their mission to just be anything that can be catastrophic. And I love that you pointed out that study, because, man, being an artist, it ain't for sissies.
Give up a lot.
It's really hard. And, just in terms of, especially like if you are fortunate to have a union, you still have to work a certain amount of time like a certain number of weeks in order to qualify for your insurance. So it's a great resource that Season of Concern can come in and fill in those gaps, because sometimes you're just shy of, like, you're 1 week short, but even getting like 6 months of insurance. So it's such a huge thing. And I'm so proud of the work that you all do. And I know this holiday season, along with the traditional, the buckets, and that kind of was like, full disclosure to listeners out there, I used to work with Season of Concern, and I loved this time of year. It was very busy, but you're going around to all the theaters, and the theaters are like in competition with each other about who can raise the most money. So when you see people with the bucket, but in addition to all of the audience asks and the buckets, there are a bunch of other events that are happening this year with Season of Concern.
Yeah, we're really fortunate. There's a number of different performers and organizations that have offered to do some holiday programming where the proceeds will benefit us. That launches tomorrow with World AIDS Day Cabaret from Lakeside Pride's Wild Cabaret performing group. That's at Sidetrack. And then tomorrow and Tuesday, Chicago Cabaret Professionals have a program at a new music venue to check out. That's all holiday themed music. Gary Thomas, who does a Frank Sinatra act later in the month. Beautiful City Project performing at the Understudy in Andersonville. You can get all the details about these on our website, seasonofconcern.org. But the one I'm most excited about is the one that I'm doing just for fun. Two really great Chicago comedic actresses, Veronica Garza and Leah Morrow, were doing a staged reading of the female version of The Odd Couple, which should be a good time.
And where will that happen?
That'll be at Theater Wit on Tuesday, December 16th. They're kindly donating the theater to us for a night. It'll be a free event, but we'll take up a collection for a Season of Concern. And honestly, it just stemmed from me seeing them in shows and thinking, gosh, they're never going to put these two women on stage together. It would be too much funny. And I thought, well, we're never afraid of too much funny in Chicago, are we?
Never.
Well, also just speaking of Theater Wit, hats off to you, my friend, for opening up Whose Holiday. I'm telling you,
the third year for it?
Chris Pazdernik does everything. Like he's always on the go. Like, look out! Like, you just directed Whose Holiday. How do you find the time?
Well, this is our fifth year.
And, oh, my God. I was there the opening night for the first year. Time flies.
With Veronica Garza.
Yes, with Veronica Garza.
It's astonishing how much of the show she just retains in muscle memory. So honestly, we only really rehearse a few days, have a day of tech and call it done, because she really doesn't need a whole lot of reviewing.
Right.
So we, come up with a few new bits, maybe a new song every other year, and it's a really fun tradition, and I'm happy to share that our closing performance of that will also be a benefit for Season of Concern.
Excellent. So for people like me, Christopher, who saw it, 5 years ago when it started, how different would it be today? Just a few little songs, like you said, or has it evolved in any other ways that I'm curious about?
Well, she got a new costume this year, so that's new.
Okay.
A new song. A lot of the audience interaction bits we usually tend to change up each year because, just to reference what's going on or to make things fresh for people who do come back. But the heart of the show and the story about, finding the redemption in yourself over the holiday season has not changed. And that's the thing that keeps me coming back every year, because I think sometimes we can be the hardest on ourselves, especially at this time of year. And watching someone like Cindy go through that process, I think, is actually more meaningful than you think when you see the show full of, when the show starts with a whole bunch of four-letter words and raunchy innuendo.
This one is not for the kiddies.
You don't expect yourself. Yeah, not for the kiddies. But I don't think you expect it to be crying by the end, and every year.
That's
never
true.
fails.
No, that's great. And so people that have seen it before, please come back, because you will see nothing like it on stage.
That is true.
In Chicago this holiday season. I guarantee you that.
If you're looking for an alternative,
yes,
for your holiday viewing,
yes, this is it.
Where is this? You said there's a new music venue. You said the
Checkout. Where's that? Yeah.
Okay, so it's on Clark Street, just north of Wrigleyville, and it is an old 7-Eleven. That's how the venue got its name.
We did see that. Aren't they? They're playing jazz there, right? Is it kind of a jazz spot or something? Or
it's pretty eclectic in terms of live music. I've seen jazz stuff programmed there, classical music. This is a cabaret group, Chicago Cabaret Professionals. So I think it's one venue that is trying to replace the absence of places like Davenport's in the community. So a little bit of everything, and they have a fun Manhattan slushie in honor of the building's original purpose.
I love that.
That's funny. I love that.
That's amazing. And speaking of amazing, again, Chris, I can't say enough amazing things about you, because along with your work with Season of Concern, you are a tireless advocate for folks living with HIV/AIDS. Your annual cabaret show, Belting for Life. You've done that as we are commemorating, again, as we are, because the administration decided that they are not going to be commemorating World AIDS Day. Why is it so important to help remove the stigma behind the disease, to help tell everybody, as we're moving forward with this disease? Why is it so important to keep telling this story?
I think because, for me, a driver is all of the people who we lost early on. I feel like I have a debt to repay to a lost generation of people, that if we can make it a better place for those living with AIDS and HIV today, then I feel I have a deep sense of obligation to, queer folks that I never even met, because otherwise, what were they fighting for if not to find a better place? And as you say, because there is still the stigma, it is still the sort of, a chronic illness that is not, you're not supposed to talk about in polite company, and it's butting up against everything else we're seeing with this administration, right? Homophobia, transphobia, it's all kind of wrapped in this sort of antiquated way of thinking. And so I think as long as there are people out there who haven't gotten on the train yet, we gotta keep moving forward.
And I would be remiss not to mention my friend, who was one of the originators and founders, Larry Sloan. Larry was a friend. He was with Remains Theater, and he did pass away, sadly, from HIV/AIDS many years ago. But I remember when he had told us about Season of Concern all those years ago. And just, as you said, there's people that have gone before you, Christopher, that you never met. You probably didn't meet Larry, I'm guessing, because it was.
No.
But he was a force, and I just like to keep his memory alive, because he was a special guy who got this started.
Season of Concern actually gives out a Larry Sloan Award annually,
yes.
so which is really great. So again, Christopher Pazdernik, you just do so much good for Chicago and beyond. So I want to thank you for your artistic work, your activist work, and also your work with Season of Concern. So this holiday season, if you are out and about and attending a show, and they come out and give a little speech at the very end, you'll see some nice cast members holding buckets as you leave. Throw in some money, because it really does, like as you were saying, 57% of artists and theater makers deal with financial insecurity, and during this time of year, it can really help. Yes. So thank you for all that you do. And if you want to find out more information about all of the events that are going on, go see Too Much Funny on One Stage. Head to seasonofconcern.org. Chris Pazdernik, I want you to enjoy this lovely snowy day.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course.
Always. Thanks, Christopher.